Ready to master the escrow process from contract to closing? Welcome to the Escrow Advantage with Ben Dittenhauser, Class 5 of the Ready.Set.REALTOR series, where escrow knowledge leads to smoother transactions and successful closings.
Now for the fun stuff, I'd like to introduce our instructors for this evening, Mr. Ben Dittenhauser and Anne Callahan with Generations Escrow. Ben has nearly 13 years in the real estate industry and brings extensive experience, leadership, and a passion for serving the real estate community. A former president of the Women's Council of Realtors East Valley, president of the Inland Gateway Association of Realtors, and vice chair of the California Association of Realtors Young Professionals Network. Ben has dedicated his career to supporting and empowering real estate professionals. Today with Generations Escrow, he combines his agent expertise with a solutions-focused approach to help transactions close smoothly and successfully. A little fun fact about Ben, outside of real estate, Ben is a devoted husband to Corey and a big fan of country music and live concerts. Whether he's building relationships in the industry or singing along at a show, Ben leads with authenticity, energy, and a genuine love for people. Let's give it up for Ben. Yay! Our second instructor today is Anne Callahan, who is a senior certified escrow officer with over 40 years of experience in the escrow industry. She earned her senior certified escrow officer designation through the California Escrow Association and has built a reputation for delivering exceptional service, expert guidance, and seamless transactions. Throughout her career, Anne has successfully handled a wide variety of escrow transactions, including residential sales, refinances, commercial properties, business opportunities, and mobile home escrows. Her extensive knowledge and attention to detail make her a trusted resource for even the most complex transactions. Anne is passionate about helping clients navigate the escrow process with confidence and ease. She values the relationships she builds with real estate professionals, buyers, sellers, and lenders, and she is committed to providing personalized service every step of the way. Her dedication, experience, and problem-solving abilities have earned her the trust of clients and colleagues alike. For Anne, every transaction is an opportunity to make a positive difference. She thrives on the challenges of the escrow profession and takes pride in helping her clients achieve successful outcomes while creating lasting professional relationships. Now let's put our hands together for Ben and Anne.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming and bearing traffic. So today we're going to talk to you guys about the escrow advantage, kind of just to overflow the basic responsibilities of escrow officers and then you as agents, and kind of how to tie the whole transaction together and communicate properly with escrow. Before we get started, though, show of hands, how many of you are brand new realtors? Oh, beautiful. And then how many of you are seasoned? Back to refresh. Awesome. All right. So it's a good mix. All right. Let's get started. You want to go first?
Okay. Am I okay?
Yep, you're good.
Well, escrow is a secure arrangement where a neutral third party holds the funds, documents, and instructions until everything has been. Think of escrow as a trusted referee of the transaction. We don't represent the buyer or the seller. Instead, we ensure that everyone's instructions are followed and that no funds and documents are released until all the conditions have been met.
Beautiful. All right. The value of escrow provides a trusted, structured process that protects all parties and ensures every transaction closes smoothly and securely. So like Anne mentioned, we're a neutral third party that ensures the fairness. It's secure management of the funds and the documents. That's the funds that come in from the buyer, funds that come in from title for the new loan, and then also that disperses the funds to the sellers as well. They keep transactions organized and on track. One thing that we're going to talk about too is the contingencies. That's one thing that escrow doesn't control is contingencies. That's held by the realtors. So know your contingencies, and escrow has their own timelines, which is open escrow, close of escrow, and those are the main dates that we focus on and try to do everything we can to make sure that those dates are fulfilled. And then obviously protect all parties from all risks. All right, we're going to talk about the life of an escrow. That is a little handout that you have. If you don't have one, raise your hand and we'll get one to you. Do you want to say?
Life of an escrow. We received the signed contract, which was fully executed by all parties. We make the introductions to the buyer and the seller and requesting buyer's funds to be wired. That's one of the most major, very important things, is to make sure you tell your clients to give us a call prior to receiving our wiring instructions for safety purposes. So there's no fraud, that their email wasn't hacked in and got something else. That very important that they call us to confirm our wiring instructions. We call and make the introductions as well, but when we send it, you just never know. But we have them call back after that, unless we've just sent the wiring instructions. Then we confirm it over the phone while we have them on the phone. But if they haven't received it, then we ask them to call.
And a good secure escrow company will send the escrow instructions in a secure document, usually password protected. If they get something in the email that's not password protected, I would highly recommend they verify that information with the escrow company.
Yeah.
Like the escrow company that you work for will provide a password. It's whatever they set up in their system, however, socials, last four socials, whatever. I'm not sure what that would look like.
In our system, just to give you an example, it has a secure portal. So they log in with their own email information, and it goes into this portal, which makes it real secure and safe that they're able to access all our escrow documents that we share with them. So to answer her question.
Yeah, and it makes
kind
it
of.
easier using that portal that Anne's talking about too, makes it easier transaction wise. So your clients aren't constantly asking you, what did I just sign? What is this? They can literally log into the portal and everything that
everything
they
is there.
sign is all there for them at their fingertips.
So once we get that, we make the introduction and all that good stuff. Then we open up title and order the title search. And once we get that back, we see if there's any kind of conditions or problems or anything like that need to be addressed and pointed out to all the parties. We order the HOA documents if that's involved and solar transfer information as well. Then the next step, we wait for, if there's a loan involved, we wait for the buyer's loan approval. Once we get that done, loan approval happens, we get the loan documents, then we schedule the signing appointment. Then we just double check everything to make sure we're not missing anything. And once we have the final funds and sign loan docs and ready to go and record, then we can close the transaction as long as we have everything from all parties. I make it easy.
Hey, it's easy if everyone does their part.
Right.
All right, we're going to kind of dive in a little bit deeper on the life of life of an escrow. Just answer questions as we go along. So the process begins, as she mentioned, escrow is officially open once all parties agree to the terms, sign the agreement, and deposit the funds, which is the earnest money deposit, into escrow. What to expect from an escrow officer is assigned to manage the transaction impartially. All parties are notified of the timelines. So escrow will base their timelines off of the contracts. They don't create timelines of their own. It's given to them based on what you negotiate with your buyers and their sellers.
Oh, well, we kind of already talked about that. But once the buyer have, this is opening escrow, then at that point, we get the contract and we kind of already went over that one.
Yeah. But any questions about
Open.
earnest money deposit or opening of escrow? Do you know who opens
Yes.
escrow?
Yes.
That is a lender question. They do care where the money comes from. You can have your own, you can have gift funds, but then you need gift letters. And if you want to touch a little bit on that, as far as what's required from escrow.
Right. So let's say it's a third party and mom is lending money to their child, then we would, and the mom is not a part of the transaction, then it's called a third party instruction to accept those funds. And again, it would be, the lender would really need to know that because they need to track and where those funds came from. It does not have to be domestic. It can come from, overseas. It can, if they're paying all cash, it can come from overseas, no problem. If there's a lender involved, then you got to, provide what account it came from.
Yeah, seller's agent typically opens escrow.
Yeah. Well, there's the contingency period, which I believe in the contracts are 17 days.
Well, it's standard contractually 17 days.
Yeah.
That can be changed, written in, whether it's shorter, whether it's longer, depending on the type of escrow you're getting into, the property condition. So typically what happens is if all of your contingencies are in place and you cancel due to an inspection or possible not being able to qualify for the loan wise, those are good for cancellation due to the contract because they're not able to fulfill their contractual requirements. However, if they remove their contingencies, the buyer, the loan contingency, inspection contingency, appraisal contingency, and they have to cancel for one of those reasons, they're putting up their chance to forfeit their earnest money deposit. So the money can only be dispersed back to a mutual agreement between the buyers and the sellers. So stay on your contingencies, keep your buyers and your sellers, not necessarily the sellers, but the buyers, just keep them in the know the importance of their inspections, getting them done within that timeline. Escrow won't hold them to those timelines. We don't handle the contingency periods. That's not part of our job. It's your job as the buyer's agent, as the listing agent, to make sure that those contingency periods are well within and taken care of.
She was asking what we most likely see when buyers are trying to cancel. Is that correct? Yeah. I mean, it's usually because of an inspection. Most of the time is after an inspection period when they decide to cancel. Some haven't even put their deposit in yet and are canceling. So they don't even get their monies in within the 3 days that are required and they cancel.
And usually that happens because the buyer's submitting multiple offers and they got this one accepted and they got this other one accepted. So because they didn't put money in over here, they're going to cancel that one and go with the one that they really wanted. So it's literally a case by case basis. We've seen it all.
No, not ever. No. Okay, that's true. Yeah, we do not.
All right. Okay, we talked about the deposit of the earnest money already and wire fraud prevention. So we'll skip over that. Managing the process. So this is an escrow officer's role. Want to talk about your role?
Well, yeah. So what we do is it says we remain impartial. We do not, if a buyer or seller calls and starts making their comments and complaining or whatever, something not happening, we have no say in that. So we just remain impartial and just stick to what needs to be done in making the transaction smooth as possible.
All right, document collection and review. So all required documents are collected, reviewed, and distributed by escrow. This critical step ensures every party has the information they need to move the transaction forward with confidence and clarity. So escrow meticulously organizes and verifies each document from purchase agreements to disclosure forms. There's only certain disclosure forms that escrow needs to see, and ensuring nothing is missed and all parties remain informed throughout the process. So there's some forms, your agent avid, which is the agent's visual inspection, escrow doesn't need to see that stuff. They'll typically have a checklist or ask you for certain items that are needed, amendments, addendums to the transaction. Obviously the purchase agreements is the number one thing that's needed. That's pretty much it, right? Just the purchase agreement, amendments and addendums.
Well, one of the other things is really critical is the statement of information to get that completed by the buyer and seller as soon as possible. And what that is just to make sure there aren't any other liens against them. And we submit that to the title company right away. So that's kind of like an important document that the client, the buyer and seller complete right away. So it's not going to hold things up, especially with common last names like Smith and Jones.
And that's part of the escrow instructions that escrow sends out to the buyers and the sellers. And there's there's a lot of things that can be found on statement of information. You can find out that their spouse is married and now you need a interspousal deed transfer. And there's just a whole plethora of things that come from just this one paper. So I think that the one thing to stress is if you can get back that statement of information to escrow first and foremost, obviously the whole packet, but for them to be able to get started on that information based off of the SOI, that's huge.
Yes.
If you would like a breakdown of our fees, you can send Anne an email for what's called a net sheet, and she can provide you with the net sheet for a listing that you have that has our fees, but we don't have public fee sheets.
Well, service, and I think all of it.
This is key.
Yeah. We have such amazing resources within our company that we are able to use if something were to come up, which I think is a very important, we have so many tools. So that kind of sets us apart,
One thing else that sets us apart too is we're an independent escrow, so we're not owned by any realtor or title company. And we typically carry a higher E&O insurance versus some in-house escrows don't have as high coverage for their transactions and for their files. So that's another one thing that sets independent apart as well. Sorry, I meant to say the client or the buyer or the seller is married and didn't disclose that. Like they're separated and they need to sign off either which way, whether the buyer or the seller, they need to agree to their spouse doing a transaction.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes. No, that isn't something the title company or any of it. That would be like a building and safety thing that maybe there was a permit missed and they never had a permit.
Yeah, that's public records.
Yeah. The building department, you would have to go and speak with them. Yeah.
That is a buyer and buyer's agent's due diligence to verify the proper square footage.
Yes. Or the bedrooms. He was talking about bedrooms, right? That they never got permitted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get a good seller that will provide the permits already. And then some it's been bought and sold so many times that the permits are lost. So they have to go to the county and just request any permits related to the property.
And that's where I would say for them to go and talk to the building, maybe it was missed on their part and that's where the reporting is coming from. That would be the building and where they get the permits, the building and safety department.
The planning department typically. In some cities, it's the county, not the city that's actually into.
Yeah.
I'm not clicking. There we go. All right. Communication hub. So escrow acts as the universal communication hub between the lenders, between the buyer's agent, between the listing agent. So any and all information is transcribed through escrow. That's why we're the neutral third party. It kind of handles the conversations from both sides. There are some things that your lender will tell you, do not tell escrow, and that's just putting my realtor hat on. So not everything is to be shared with escrow because once they have knowledge of something, they have to disclose it. So just be careful with any escrow company and with whatever information that you're relaying. That's my little 2 cents. I mean, certain stuff too, like if the buyers and sellers are handling a purchase of something outside of escrow, like stuff like that we don't need to know about, we don't care. Yeah, that's just anything on those lines. I'm not saying illegal, but just anything outside of the contract.
Well, or it could be like a people like getting married and they just got married last week. No, we're just going to keep them as a single man. It's like, well, that person has community property interest now. So that's like, anyway, that would be an example.
Yeah. You're not single anymore. Okay. We've talked about this too. Being the neutral third party, we keep things going on timelines. Escrow company will ask for certain things. We'll ask for when loan docs are ordered from the lender. They have their own timelines to make sure that everyone stays on the right path, the estimated close of escrow date.
And that's one thing that us as escrow people will communicate, like loan docs arrived today, and we communicate with the agents. Loan signing is happening on this day. Loan signing went well, everything is going back to the lender. Those type of communications that are happening, and just confirming that we're making sure that everybody is ready on such and such a date. So those are the type of communications that we're doing and keeping you guys informed.
And one thing I can stress too is information is information. Good news, quick, bad news, even faster. Because if you get in front of the bad news, escrow, your lender, your whole team can kind of work and figure out ways to make it happen or to fix the issue rather than waiting till the very last minute to where your buyers are going to go sign loan docs and now there's not enough time to resolve an issue. I always stress, give the bad news faster than the good news. It's not always bad news, but
No.
And this is going right here, timely submission of documents and information.
Yeah, these is talking about the loan document.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that the deed of trust, the vesting is correct on how the buyer wants to be holding title to it, and that it's matching the grant deed from the seller. Making sure, what else about the loan document? Well, the liens are part of the title search. Yes. So that's something separate, not loan documents. But yeah, if something pops up and there's a lien that we need to take care of, then we're on it right away and getting that either ordered or see how to resolve it. What's the best way to resolve it? We do not need to see their certification because we're going to have them sign a recent certification. So they have to sign that within the transaction. It can't be from 2 years ago. Yeah. So yeah.
And does escrow require the original trust or a copy of the trust?
No, not.
Okay, I'm just asking for anybody that might have that question.
No, yeah, not anymore. Used to. 30 years ago, we had to see the copy of the trust, but not anymore. Yeah. The notary, we do not ask for copies of their driver's license. That is something the notary does, and it actually is returned with the signed loan documents. That's the notary's position. We don't get a copy. Yeah. That's something.
So for the most part, the note covers either way, because either when there's a grant deed that's signed by the seller, it's done in front of a notary that verifies their identification.
Yeah.
And then when the loan docs are signed, that's in front of a notary as well, which is also verified with identification.
That's a good question. I have never seen a notary. The only time is I'm going to say is like the notary wasn't really a notary and it ended up being fraud. So.
Or a situation that can come up too is the contract has the incorrect name spelled and escrow is just copying exactly what's on the contract. So if it's originally given to them incorrectly, they're going to continue to keep printing that same name on all the contracts moving forward until it's corrected or not. Because that has happened before. It's gone to loan docs and there was a typo in the spelling of the name and they had to redo them again. And that has nothing to do with what escrow has done. That's just based on the information that's given to them. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
I was confused. There's no penalty, and we don't put any penalty on that. That would be, you can communicate with the agents communicating like it's not going to happen. The buyer's lender is delayed and can't get them. They're still underwriting their loan. It could come up. It could be the septic guy can't get out there to do the septic yet. I mean, it could be.
Yeah, and usually delays are agreed upon between both the buyer and seller.
Yeah.
Usually if the seller's not okay with the extension, they'll throw in a per diem. Every day past the close of escrow date, the buyers are to pay X amount of money. Like there's certain agreements that are made, but that's a mutual agreement between the buyers and the sellers. Escrow doesn't charge any delay fees. At least our company does.
I don't think it's.
I mean, kind of unfair because there's a lot of
Well,
transactions.
we're neutral, so we
Yeah.
can't demand people to close. Yeah. I
Yes,
think
we do.
everybody wants it to close. The buyer wants the house, the seller wants to sell it.
The seller wants to move on. Can I just do that?
My client, seller, had paid off a second loan. And the lender not letting it off this. So the title was trying to get, it was in Northern California. And so I took my time, and because that one lender was there in town, so I could actually go there if I needed to. But he was telling me it was gonna take a long time. I said, you know what? This is your problem. You made the mistake of not reporting it, so you better rush it. And you wanted to take 30 days. I said, no. But it was already in escrow. The first day I got there, I sold it.
Are you saying they didn't record a reconvey or they didn't close out the equity?
Should have been done then, right? But they didn't. And he was bragging. I said, you can't do that. And I helped out the title because they were going to do that, right? But I got on it and he goes, all right, yeah, we'll go ahead and get it. Don't work on it. We're good.
That's good that you kept on top of it. For sure. For sure. Yes. Wow. Good for you.
I think they go to escrow and then we got to find out the property tax, and they lean on the.
Oh.
So what happened? So we have to call the escrow back. It's supposed not to, in the record of the new buyer right now.
So it's something I would. So it's called unsecured tax liens. So what happens is that if for some reason it was like a missed supplemental tax and the title company didn't see it, or the taxes didn't come out right away, it just depends on the situation. It's usually a supplemental tax. It was regular tax, then that I would go to. Then if it was just regular taxes, then go back to the title company and file. I don't think there's a year on that. Yeah, I don't. It's not on something like that. No, it's title insurance. I mean, they haven't sold it or anything, right? The party, the buyers haven't changed. Yeah, so that's your title insurance. It could be 10 years later and something had popped up and stuff.
I believe Ready Set Realtor next week is with title officers, so that'll be a great question to bring up next week when the title officers are.
Why don't I go to the tax record and then it show,
That-
it show up the amount on their the property tax that did not send in the notice anything, but actually in the record when you go the tax record.
Yeah.
So you see it show up in
As unpaid taxes on the property. So it's continuing and it's showing his name, not the old sellers. Yeah, I would refer them to the title company who provided the title. And yeah.
Thank you.
All right, funds management. So from earnest money deposit to final disbursements, escrow ensures that the funds reach the parties at the right time with full transparency and accountability every step. So every dime, every penny, every dollar is tracked by escrow and balanced at the end of the transaction before all disbursements. Talked about status updates. So final steps, the closing phase, what to expect, review, sign and record all closing documents and then disperse funds and confirm possession transfer. That's actually something that we don't do here. Escrow doesn't really care when the buyer takes possession of the property. That's between the buyer and the seller and what's agreed upon in the contract. I was supposed to take that out.
You want me to do?
Go for it.
Okay. Accuracy before closing. We review all the documents for accuracy and completeness. The critical step ensures every detail is correct, all signatures are in place, and nothing has been overlooked before the transaction is final.
So again, that touches base on what I don't know her name, but in the purple shirt when she was talking about errors in the. We'll find it if we notice it. If we get one document that has this name and then we just got another one that has the name spelled a different way, then we can fix an issue usually by just cross-referencing the information that's given. And then scheduling the closing. Talked about that already. We schedule loan doc signing, let all parties know when loan docs have been signed, received, and sent back to the lender, and an estimated close. Want to talk about?
Yeah, releasing funds at closing. So once everything has been satisfied, we have recording confirmation. We receive fund. If there was a loan involved, we get the funds from the title company. Sometimes it's not usually same day on the recording, so we'll get it the next day, and that's when we do all our disbursement. And everybody gets paid, and the buyer gets that.
So recording the transaction at the time of loan docs and everything received, escrow will submit all the documents to the county recorder's office to set up for recording. Typically, what's the county cutoff time? Is it
2:30?
2:30?
Well, every title company is different, so you check with your title company because it depends on their title person that goes and records for them. So,
and it's usually recorded by 5 o'clock. Sometimes I've seen it come through a little bit later than that, just depending if it's month end and there's a ton of stuff that's going through. There's special recordings that are done and set up as well, but you'll come to those different situations as you. It's all yes.
so everybody.
the grant deed should be to the buyer sooner than that, not 90 days. Yeah. Once it's recorded at the title company, they literally will put it in the mail because now everything's done electronic. They'll put their little sticker on it, their little recording sticker, and they just put it in the mail. So it's usually like within a week or 2 weeks. Yeah, but it's public record. So we get a copy of the recorded document. So we're sending a copy of the grant deed with our closing email to the buyers. So they have a copy of it right in their.
And to kind of elaborate on your
Yeah.
question too, I think what happens is they do get copies of the final documents. However, the county website sometimes takes a while to update the new. So then
Oh,
that's
yes.
that we have no control over that. We know that the transaction's done because we have the final documentation and all the signatures and everything signed in.
Couple weeks.
Yeah.
Not 90.
Just public records, website wise, usually can take some time for it to reflect and switch over to the new owners. I have seen that go past 30 days when we go check and the new buyer's not on there as the usually, yes, I've seen it go. All right, common mistakes. This is the fun part. Missing deadlines, incomplete documentation, and poor communication. We can't stress communication enough. If you don't tell us what's going on, we don't know what's going on, and we're going to assume everything's okay. So keep us in the know, keep your buyer's agents in the know, keep your listing agents in the know. Just open communication through contingency, misunderstandings, insufficient funds, and skipping final steps. So talking about contingencies, make sure you understand what they are, make sure your clients understand what they are. And then insufficient funds, that comes into play where we're down at the final wire and the buyer doesn't have enough funds to close. And agents are having to give up part of their commission to help cover, and it just becomes an absolute nightmare. So try your best to ensure that your buyer has enough money to close, and your lender will provide you with a fee sheet so they know exactly what's going to be due at the close of escrow. And the reason why is because they actually get the numbers from escrow, what all the escrow fees are. So that's all on their fee sheet. So there's no hidden or missed fees. Everything that they're going to pay is on one sheet. From it happens though where money, it could be situations where gift money doesn't, they're supposed to get an X amount, or if it's a certain amount or a certain type of money that comes in and it has to be seasoned, so it has to be sitting in a checking or savings account for a certain amount of time, and it hasn't, so now that money can't be used, and that's a lender.
That's what exactly.
Okay, we got a question.
Talking about the manner of communication, what's the preferred way? Is it phone call, text, email?
The best form of communication I would say is email, because your whole conversation is now, if you make a phone call, it's like playing telephone. You may not get the same exact information that you heard. So I would highly communicate. Well, you typically won't be texting your escrow officer. You'll be email. Unless Anne accepts text messages.
Well, through our system, we actually have texting, and so it actually goes really well. So I do a lot of texting through it.
And I was actually going to touch on that.
Yeah.
And actually some brokerages require your text log. So if you use our system for text logs, now you have all your text messages that you have that pertains to the transaction, to makes it easy for you to download and upload with your compliance file with on the real estate side. Just throw that in there.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, we have come across transactions even on HOAs where even the agent said, "Oh, there's no HOA on that," and then all of a sudden we get a form back from the and they didn't turn it in on time, and they have HOA. So very important to know. So that could be a possible holdup. So is knowing all your pertinent information on the home you're seeing is solar and HOAs. Sometimes there's two HOAs too. So we need to know that as well. So good question. The HOA out there, they charge certain fees for like taking up to 10 days or taking 3 days. And then those are called rush fees. So then we have to request.
And they're typically paid by the seller.
And which is typically paid by the seller.
One good shameless plug is Generations Escrow has a solar department and an HOA department, and all they do is focus on solar transfers and HOA documents. So it's very rare that something gets missed, and they usually bring up issues.
Oh, yeah. For the seller to have all the information on solar, because apparently the companies are
dropping like flies.
Yes. And then, the sellers aren't even knowing who their servicer is. So it's a lot of phone calls. And that's what our department is finding out, and spends a lot of time locating who the new servicer is. So if the seller can find that out, of course, that's going to make it a lot. Yeah. And so my clients, when they ask me to do an estimate and they're going to be submitting, to try to get the listing, those are the questions that I ask them, like, hey, is there solar, is this and that? And, kind of do a little assisting and actually look in the public records to see if there's any solar recorded on. Sometimes it's already paid off, so that doesn't help. But yes, so I do communicate that information.
And sometimes solar is financed through a personal line of credit that won't show up as a lien on the property because it's not a lien. It's like I've actually seen that before where a seller purchased it like on a credit card type deal. So it's not going to be liened against the property because it's a line of credit. So usually at that time, the seller has to pay off that solar before escrow closes, or usually they have the buyers reflect that in their purchase price. We talked about this too, missing deadlines, include contract cancellations, we talked about the loss of earnest money deposit, the different situations that can not removing the proper contingencies or removing the contingencies and then trying to cancel as at risk for loss of earnest. Double checking all paperwork before submitting, missing signatures, incorrect dates. Talked about that already. These are just the common mistakes. Poor communication. I'm telling you, I'm going to stress. And contingency clauses, we already talked about that. And insufficient funds, we talked about that. Skipping the final walkthrough. So it's VP, verification of property. If you skip that, once escrow closes, escrow's done. If there's an issue after the close of escrow that we don't have control over, it now becomes a civil matter between the buyers and the sellers. So make sure you do your final walkthrough. Make sure you verify that the repairs were made or anything that was agreed upon is fully handled before escrow closes. And usually having a final walkthrough can delay escrow. You can request an extension because a repair wasn't done or whatever the case may be. So always, always, always do your final walkthrough. Encourage your buyers to do their not reviewing the
Well, yeah, so this is like specifically for seller. If there was repairs that were done and we didn't even know about it and we didn't get the invoice to pay from the seller's proceeds, it's not going to be paid. Well, I shouldn't say that. The seller will pay it after close of escrow. So that is kind of important to communicate anything that the seller wants paid through escrow for any type of repairs, whether it's like roof, the pool, anything, septic, all that stuff.
and your sellers will sign the fee sheet, or what is it called? The closing.
The estimate.
The estimate. They'll sign the estimate. So let's say, for instance, if there was a credit that was previously given, but now you guys did a change to the contract where that credit's now no longer there, showing up on the net sheet or the fee sheet. I keep calling it the wrong thing. It's just the time to verify that their sellers are paying everything that they're supposed to.
And that's one thing that we ask of you guys, because we don't know that there was an agreement that all of a sudden there was inspection done and there was an agreement for a seller credit to the buyer. We need to know that ASAP because we have to inform the lender as well that, oh, now there's going to be a $5,000. We'll delay things. That will definitely delay things, especially on the lending side. So once we have that information, then we draft our own documents and then immediately send the updated estimate to the lender so that they're aware. So that.
All right. Yes.
No.
Yeah. No AI in our office. Only for our marketing picture. And for those of you that don't know, that it's Kelly. She's been in our industry and in escrow. I'm not going to say how many years. She can say it if she wants to. 27 years. So she is a wealth of knowledge. If you ever have any questions or anything like that, she is definitely a good support system. One thing I can say is they typically can't adjust their fees. It's kind of a flat rate. They can't offer discounts and stuff. We can definitely work with any situation.
Well, yeah, we are licensed and we follow under a license. Watch over people. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Watch over people. So, in my opinion, they're a lot more, I'm going to say stricter. So you can't use certain notaries when you're dealing with a title escrow company. So that's one of the differences. We offer discounts for seniors, all first responders, teachers, veterans, of course, veterans, most important.
We don't
Like, are you? Yeah. It's based on the
Next for the seller or buyer. So do you have any formula?
we have a formula to calculate our fees. You would just sheet.
yeah, I was going to say it's based on the price. And then there are other fees. I have to say, like we do charge like for, the solar involving, the solar processing that. So that's like an extra fee. The best way I can say is I don't know the formula, the computer does, and I just do the.
And that's typically with.
I don't know what it is. I don't know right now.
Well, Anne's email address is on that flyer that's under the bag clip. So if you have a listing and you'd like to give an estimate to your clients, feel free to reach out to her and she'll gladly provide you with a fee sheet.
What do you mean? Oh, are you talking about the franchise tax board? We collect, yeah, it's 3 1/3 of, yeah. And if the form that the state of California has them fill out, it's a stamp. If it's not qualified as their primary residence, or if they're not an LLC or a corporation, then we have to collect the 3 1/3. And it or invest. I am. I'm a phone gal too. Sometimes I don't want to send the email and I just pick up the phone. So no,
Luckily,
Most
that's
definitely.
never happened.
Yeah.
Except for there was a staff meeting going on and we didn't notify the receptionist. And so the phones were just ringing. And then I got a call from the agent, like, why is no one answering your phone? I'm like, sorry, we're in a staff meeting and we forgot to put the phone. So that was a.
Okay.
Did you, if the seller not feel some repair or they try and not happy, I don't think the escrow still going on to be closed escrow. It's not, that condition not be closed escrow, right?
These would need to notify us in writing.
I don't know.
Are you talking about paying a bill? We are not a part of the final walkthrough. So if not notified, like, hey, something hasn't been done, don't close, then
Yeah, as
So
long as escrow has loan doc signed and scheduled closing, it's going to close as scheduled unless noted both parties.
we don't go and send out emails. Hey, did final walkthrough go okay? We do not do that.
Yeah.
That's a list of like what missing items.
You should have that from your broker. They'll have a compliance list
Yeah.
on everything that's needed and required for your file to be in full compliance. So yeah, that will come from your broker because we don't.
We know the things that you guys are required, from what you needed, so we automatically will send you a copy of the approved prelim that the buyer saw the prelim, he checked, the HOA, so we send copies of that. Once the buyer has signed, we send you new copies of that, HD, for.
Hire a transaction coordinator. We will hand deliver it to your office or your front door if your broker allows you to get what's called a CDA. If they allow a CDA where you can get the check cut to you directly. And we also do wiring. So if your broker will allow wiring, we do a one-time wiring instruction. We submit it to our corporate office and you can get your commission checks wired.
Yeah, and for my clients, I personally go out because I'm a notary and will notarize them, the agents, and don't charge. So,
So if you want your check delivered at closing. Yes, as long as they submit what's called a CDA, the commission disbursement authorization, that's the breakdown of what's to happen with the commission. If your broker allows that, then we can cut a check with their permission. They have to give permission because all the commissions by. And they just brought it back. I think we weren't allowed to use CDAs before, right? Wasn't there an issue with, or was it?
I think it's okay now.
Yeah, I think we couldn't transaction coordinators or some, there was some issue with it, but doesn't exist anymore.
It
So,
doesn't,
yes. Yeah, we can cut checks directly to TCs.
as long as it's listed on the,
Yes.
or if it's in the contract already that the buyer is paying.
Any other questions? Beautiful. Well, thank you guys for having us here tonight.
Thank you so much.